Modern China absolutely despises the Qing dynasty for deeply humiliating them, but they are forced to grit their teeth and legally recognize their hated conquerors as legitimate for one simple, brutal reason: the real estate deed they left behind was simply too massive to reject. Let us examine this dynasty through the brutal lens of modern corporate business. The Qing acted entirely like a hostile foreign corporation invading from the north, executing a bloody and absolute leveraged buyout of Ming Corporation. The moment this foreign CEO hijacked the market share, they immediately enforced a ruthless campaign to completely obliterate the brand identity of the existing employees. The infamous Q order was issued with a terror-inducing ultimatum: keep your hair and lose your head, or keep your head and lose your hair. Millions of Han Chinese were brutally massacred in historical atrocities like the 10 Days in Yangzhou and 3 massacres in Jiating simply for refusing to adopt the new corporate uniform. Throughout their nearly 300-year reign, the Manchus engineered a viciously racist apartheid system within the corporate hierarchy. No matter how brilliant a Han employee was, they were overwhelmingly relegated to middle management, while the true board of directors, the Grand Council, heavily favored the Eisenjoro bloodline and the 8 banners. This relentless, systemic humiliation planted deep, venomous seeds of hatred, transforming the Qing into the ultimate symbol of barbarism and oppression in the eyes of the native people of the Central Plains. Despite their catastrophic failure to win the hearts of their internal workforce, the Qing conglomerate functioned as the greatest, most aggressive real estate tycoons in Asian history. Kangxi, Yongzheng, and Qianlong weren't just emperors, they were bloodthirsty CEOs with an unprecedented, relentless vision for scale-up. During the Ming Dynasty, China's core land deed essentially consisted of the 18 traditional inner provinces, fluctuating around 3.5 to 4 million square kilometers. But when the Qing assumed executive control, they executed colossal geopolitical mergers and acquisitions. Through marital diplomacy, absolute wars of annihilation, and ruthless political maneuvering, they aggressively incorporated Manchuria, Mongolia, Xinjiang, Tibet, and the island of Taiwan into the imperial map. As a result, they artificially inflated the company's real estate portfolio to a staggering 13 million square kilometers. It is absolutely critical to emphasize that these newly acquired territories were not merely worthless deserts or empty steppes. In the realm of grand geopolitics, they were massive, impenetrable strategic armor plates. Mongolia served as an indestructible shield against Russian expansion, Xinjiang was the strategic corridor dominating Central Asia, and Tibet acted as a natural, towering fortress protecting the southwestern flank while controlling the water supply for the entire continent. The Qing Corporation violently hijacked the Han People's Company, yet inadvertently gifted them an entirely unassailable geopolitical asset portfolio. Entering the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Qing conglomerate spiraled into a catastrophic corporate depression, historically known as the Century of Humiliation. With incompetent CEOs and dangerously obsolete technology, the company was continuously cannibalized by Western global corporations, forced to sign humiliating contracts ceding land and paying massive indemnities. Against this miserable backdrop, the deeply rooted hatred of the Han employees erupted violently. Revolutionaries like Sun Yat-sen hoisted the banner with an intensely nationalistic slogan: expel the Tartars, restore Zhonghua, drive out the barbarian Manchus and restore a Han-centric China. Fundamentally, they intended to completely overthrow the Manchu board of directors, physically kick the foreigners out of the house, and re-establish a nation exclusively designed for the Han ethnicity. The early revolutionaries sketched out a map for this new Chinese republic, and guess what? It looked almost exactly like the obsolete, shrunken map of the old Ming dynasty. Blinded by centuries of sheer, emotional hatred, they believed that simply eradicating Manchu dominance would magically solve all systemic issues. They romanticized a dramatic corporate restructuring, dreaming of returning the company to the glorious, pure days of their ancestors. But they were about to brutally learn a classic business lesson: emotions are cheap, but hard assets are priceless. If you fire the foreign CEO and simultaneously rip up his business license, you automatically forfeit every single piece of property he purchased under the company's name. When the 1911 Xinhai Revolution erupted and the Qing dynasty actually collapsed, the Han leadership suddenly slammed on the brakes. A cold, terrifying geopolitical mathematical equation materialized: if they officially declared the Qing to be an illegal foreign occupying force and physically drove the Manchus back to their homeland, then, under the strict protocols of international law, the Qing Empire would legally dissolve. The fatal flaw was that vast territories like Mongolia, Tibet, and Xinjiang had only ever sworn fealty to the Manchu Emperor, the Great Khan, absolutely not to a Han-centric nation. If they rejected the legal legitimacy of the Qing, the newly established Republic of China would instantly bleed out 60% of its entire landmass. That monumental 13 million square kilometer land deed would evaporate into thin air, leaving a claustrophobic 4 million square kilometer core, completely stripped of all strategic defensive armor. Staring into the abyss of absolute geographic bankruptcy, the revolutionaries executed the most spectacular, brazen pivot in geopolitical history. The fiery slogan "Expel the Tartars" was ruthlessly, quietly thrown straight into the garbage. In its place, they instantly rolled out a brand new, highly calculated PR slogan: 5 races under one union, Han, Manchu, Mongol, Hui, and Tibetan are all one happy family. Despite centuries of blood-soaked hatred, the Han elite were forced to grit their teeth, fake a smile, and officially enshrine the hated Qing as a legitimate Chinese dynasty in every history textbook. They frantically rushed to sign transfer of power treaties to unequivocally guarantee that the new republic was the sole legal inheritor of the Manchu emperor's entire real estate portfolio. Ethnic vengeance was completely forced to its knees by the sheer, undeniable gravity of massive asset acquisition. The ultimate truth about the Qing dynasty is one of history's most ruthless paradoxes. This dynasty undeniably subjected China to its most excruciating humiliation in the 19th century, degrading them from the center of the world to the sick man of Asia, carved up and brutalized by global powers. Yet simultaneously, it was precisely these foreign Manchu conquerors who meticulously drew the massive, sprawling borders, forging the absolute perfect geographic armor that shields modern China to this very day. Imagine for a second, without the colossal land deed inherited directly from the Qing, modern China would lack Xinjiang, utterly destroying the transit hub required for their massive Belt and Road Initiative. They would not possess Tibet, losing control of the water tower of Asia and their critical high ground leverage over India, and they would have zero strategic depth for military defense. This brutally demonstrates that in the unforgiving, cutthroat game of superpower politics, emotional grievances and ethnic pride generate absolutely zero ROI, return on investment. Only harsh geography and sheer territory dictate long-term survival. The Chinese people may bitterly, intensely despise the Manchu dynasty for the profound psychological trauma inflicted in the past. But legally, systemically, and out of sheer core interest, they are mathematically forced to worship the territorial property deeds the Qing left behind. The most bitter, cynical lesson in grand strategic management is this: sometimes, your worst, most hated enemy is the exact same entity that leaves you the most invaluable, untouchable inheritance on earth.